Welcome once again to the Law Professor channel. Today we want to look at something that students are usually concerned about: examinations, how to write examinations. So we're going to be talking about some basic things that we should get ourselves used to with regards to examination. The first thing I would say as you approach writing your law exams is that you must manage your emotions. Don't approach examinations in fear. If you have been a diligent student, you attended your lectures, you've done your assignments. This is a university, and most of the time the lecturers might give you some references. Go and read up this article or this text, or go and do this assignment. If you'll be able to do those successfully, you've made the attendance, where if your school requires that you have minimum attendance, and you've studied, I don't think there's any reason why you should approach your exams in fear. Most of the times I've come to realize that students approach some subjects with a mindset that they cannot get a good score. And once you have that mindset, the tendency is that you would not have the energy to prepare adequately. If anything, if you have stories about a particular subject that, oh, it's difficult to pass this, or you don't get high grades in a particular subject, that is why when you should become more determined that I would be different. So please, let's eliminate biases, approach our exams with seriousness. We still have sufficient time to do that. Make sure that you meet the minimum attendance requirements. If you attend a school that determines that you have a minimum attendance requirement, it's also significant, because you can do all the preparations in this world. If you are unable to write the exams, that means that the person has lost out. Now let's go to the substantive aspects. Some law students have asked questions regarding exams, and I will be attending to some of those questions in this video. The first question I will attend to is a question that says, how do you answer law questions generally and extensively? How do you answer? And a lot of students, they enter the university and they are actually worried, or somebody just is telling them this is the law, these are cases, these are things to read, and they don't know what to expect. Number one, I want you as a law student to remember your foundation. For you to get admission into the university to study law, at least in Nigeria, you would have studied English, you would have studied literature, and you wrote exams in those subjects at secondary school level. So if you remember how you approach your exams, that helps you too in approaching law exams. In Nigerian universities, you are taught in English language. Your knowledge of English and literature will be very helpful. So when you see your question paper, number one, read the instructions. Read the instructions. Don't assume that because traditionally in your school, questions and instructions are always in a particular format and it's always the same year in, year out. Don't make the mistake of saying, in my own case, I'll just start. Perhaps maybe in your school, all questions can answer any 4 questions out of 6. What if in your own year they decide to make question 1 compulsory and you did not notice it and you did not answer that question? So you must first read the instructions. When you have read the instructions, it gives you the direction regarding the examination. The best way to fail an exam is not to read the instructions. So read your instructions very carefully. Don't be in a haste to start. If you want to build a house, you have to sit back first. Plan it. Do I have the money? Do I have the land? Do I have the resources? Do I have the time? You have to plan before you start. So in the same way, your exam must be planned in answering your questions. Once you have finished reading your instructions and you know what to do, then read all your questions. So having read the instructions, look at the questions and decide the ones you want to answer. Assuming you are given 6 questions and you are expected to answer 4. So identify the best four that you can answer. Once you identify the best that you can answer, you see the way the brain works is such that once you read those ones and it begins to bring back the information regarding those questions. Once you have done that, also time yourself. So I'm talking about general principles now. Time yourself. How many hours are you given to answer the questions? Divide those hours into 4, leaving like 10 minutes out that you use to cross-check your work, crossing your T's and dotting your I's. So divide your question, allocate time to each question. Once you have allocated time to each question, whether you finish that question or not, once that time is gone, please go to the next question. You can always leave space to go back to it if you are able to come back, but allocate time to each question. So you need to identify which are your best questions that you can answer the best. So that means you should read all the questions. You have situations where it's not would have started the question, then get to the middle and decide that they can't continue, and then they start all over again, and then they realize that there was a better question they could have answered. So it's always better, therefore, to look at all your questions critically. Create a framework for answering the question in your rough notes or whatever you use for jottings. Usually the back of your answer booklet. Structure an answer for each question. When you are creating the structure, you would know whether you will be able to answer that question excellently well. So create the structure for the 4 questions you are trying to answer. By the time you try to do that, if you get stuck in the course of creating the structure, perhaps you should look at another question to answer. So I'll stop here for today, and in the next part we'll continue with some issues relating to it.